Yo, can you hear me? You listening to
WAW. What a week.
Eta, welcome to another edition of WOW What a Week, coming to you from the Dance Music Summit in association with the German Embassy. I promise our next guest has nothing to do with the fact that the Germans are our partners.
This is WOW. What a week. What a week. Celebrity guest.
Getting straight into it with a DJ, producer, remixer, label owner, radio show host extraordinaire. Please make some noise for Lars Behrenroth. Is it Behrenroth?
It's Behrenroth, the American English way, and then Behrenroth in German. But any way you read it is fine.
Do you ever struggle with how to regulate your accent? Because, I mean, you were German born and raised, and then you moved to Los Angeles, and then you spent a lot of time in Africa. Like, do you ever prefer accent? Are there times you go full German, maybe when you're angry?
When I'm drunk, I go German. It's like you can if you ever hang out with me and you keep having drinks with me, you hear more and more of the German accent come out. I do like the South African accent because I do like coming here.
Oh yes.
Yeah. No, but my wife is not always a fan of it. The longer I speak to somebody from a certain area, I tend to pick up a few things here and there.
Yeah.
And she thinks I'm doing it on purpose.
Tell us called code switching.
Yeah, right?
Like when I speak to my parents,
Yeah.
zero bass in my voice.
Is it?
Zero bass. I speak like this to my parents. You know what I mean? Dude, 23 years of Deeper Shades radio show.
Yeah, we're going there. Right? It's already December, so yeah.
Yeah, 23 years.
It's been 22, 23 is the year when it
So
comes.
one of the overarching themes at the summit has been consistency.
Yeah.
Has been staying the course.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that journey. Let's talk about not giving up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about nothing was happening, but you stayed the course anyway.
So I've been doing radio long before I've been doing Deeper Shades of
Yes.
House. I did a few other shows on actual radio stations. And I was lucky to start Deeper Shades of House based on a Jam FM, which was a Europe-wide station via digital audio broadcasting. And it was on what they call in Germany a black music station.
Yeah.
So it's R&B and hip-hop and jazz, and they wanted a house show. So that's when I started a 2-hour Deeper Shades of House show. Eventually, like many stations, programming changes or the programmer changes, so they kind of got rid of it. And I'm like, I do like the show, I do like the concept, I keep it going. Try to get it on some other stations. I actually had it on then a satellite station in the US, Deeper Shades of House. Same thing. They got bought up by another company and merged, and they got rid of all the underground programming. Because I knew radio already, I knew this was about to happen. So that's when I started making it available for download on the website and also as a podcast. But it was hard to retain the listeners because you know how it is with radio. Even to get somebody to call you, it's a thing. And it's normal because people listen in the car, they're driving, maybe they're sitting, they're having dinner.
Yeah.
So it's like a side product.
Yeah, I don't want to jump through hoops to get to you.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's hard for them to be like, they're like, oh, Lars' show is not on anymore. That's sad. And then they move on.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get them back. But I love the show. I still do. And I just kept going. And the listener numbers weren't all that. And you get frustrated. Because at the same time, you have people who feel like they need to tell you something.
Yeah.
I don't like this track you play. I don't like, why are you not playing this? And then you get frustrated over nothing.
Yeah.
And I've been there, and I slowed down a few times. I skipped a week because it's a weekly show for 22, going into 23 years now. I slowed down. That's why I'm at 886 now.
Yeah.
I should be at 1,000.
Yeah.
But there were some times. And I struggled with it, and I kept going. And then some of the really faithful listeners started asking me, you're doing the show for free. Can we help you somehow?
Yeah.
Like it came from the listeners. I'm a very, believe it or not, if you met me, I'm a humble person. And it's like I would have never asked anybody for anything.
Yeah.
I was just happy that some people would listen. They were then, okay, I want to give you some money. And then PayPal started donations. I'm like, okay, just give me a couple bucks via PayPal. And then somebody asked, how can I do this frequently? That's when I started with the subscriptions. So now I had a reason again, because now I have 10 people who give me $5 a month. I'm like, I better do a show.
I better work for my 50 bucks.
Yeah, for my 50 bucks. So I kept going and I kept going, but it was still small. MySpace came around. Mbuso put Touching You on the Soul Candy compilation. People looked up my name on MySpace. And then they're like, Lars, I want to book you. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, there were so many things I found out years later that were happening here around my name that I had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, and then even with booking me, people are like, I want to book you, Lars. At that moment, whenever anybody asked to book me, it was a 95% chance it was going to happen because it was gigs in Europe. I was still living in Europe.
Yeah.
And a 5% chance something goes awry and it's not happening. I learned over the course of 5 years that it was reversed over here.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with somebody on MySpace who is a kid somewhere who wants to legitimately create a business for themselves and then reaches out to the artist. And I want to bring you, and I want to bring you. And that never happened. And then eventually 2010 came. And I was here for SAMC for the very first time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was on your show. And that's when I made my rounds and all that. And I found out things. And I didn't even know that you had put minorities in terms of thought on that. I found that out in 2016.
Yeah, I put that on Club Y.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and then Kabzella did as well.
Yes.
And so, yeah, the label screwed me and whoever was part.
We sent the money. Did you get the money?
I didn't get shit, no. By the way, the guy who made me sign the contract was not the label owner. He owns Paradise now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so just a heads up.
I have a release on Paradise this month.
Tell him. So, yeah, but that's when I started just re-releasing it by myself because they basically said, no, Lars, let's sign it under Artist Collective, and they screwed me.
We made you a lot of money with that
Not
one
me,
track.
not me.
Yeah.
I didn't see a cent of it.
No, we made you the money. You never got it.
That's it. Yeah, no, I know. They got it. So, anyway, it took, like I'm saying, a good 10 years of me doing this show, even though it was on a few radio stations, but there's no feedback because it's pre-recorded, so there were never call-ins. It took me like 10 years, just keep going, and then kind of South Africa said, hey, what up? And it got huge, and it's still huge. And I still have, I think, a good 70% of everybody or anybody visiting the website or even my merch shop or any other podcast, all the numbers, 70% are coming from South Africa still, even though everything is still going up. But the whole idea is you gotta keep going. And that ties in also with what Vinny was saying. You gotta have fun.
Yeah.
You gotta have the passion. And I started radio in about 94 as a fan because I was in Hamburg. I had just moved to Hamburg. There was a radio on an open channel. It's like community radio. And there was a show called House Sound of Hamburg. And me and my friend back then, we were driving through the city and listened to the show. And we would kind of make fun of the guy pronouncing English words. And he played really cool music and like soulful, like early 90s house, like good shit, you know? And so I met the guy who did the show at, in 1994, Marlboro did a DJ competition. He was one of the judges. I was one of the competitors.
Oh, wow.
So I met him and I told him I really like your show. And my English was already pretty decent. So I started sitting in with him. And I was then the one who was starting to tell the artist names. And, you know, that's how I got into radio. And I really liked it. And then the DJing became part of it. And I started my own show. And from the very first minute I started my own show, I made sure I was able to offer slots for guest DJs.
Yes.
It was never just about me. What I play is not about me. I play the music that I believe in, based on my taste and my opinion, more of the world should hear. Because I was asking my distributor if she could get me, or person I work with, if she could get me a number of how many dance music tracks are released. She's like, I only have this number, like, what was it, like 100,000 a day?
About 200,000 a day.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that is obviously any music is like pushed by distributors.
Yeah.
How are you cutting through?
Absolutely.
You know, so that goes now to production. I'm just hopping a little bit. Also back to what was said, find your sound. Don't just copy something else, because people like me are not going to pick that up. Because I'm like, yeah, that's a copy of a track I already played last week or last year. Make something that people want to hear. I now hear this. I go through hundreds of promos every Tuesday. I spend 8 hours. I just listen to my entire inbox. I also buy music. And I find stuff that I like, that touches me, and that has never changed. I'm a brutal guy. I'm an honest guy with myself and with others. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't touch it. I'm like, go away. So I put this music now on my show, and I just keep doing this. So that's the fun. I want the music to be heard by others. That was the driving thing. Love mixing. Love it even more if people like it. But this music needs to be heard. Guest DJ slot, these DJs need to be heard. So it's a service. Sounds a little grandiose, but it's a service, right? I like for people to hear this music. That is the main driver. Sure. Now, connected with people, that's the bonus. Sure. The money, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like the heart. I'm getting messages from people, and I know you've been there too. People go through something, and it can be extreme. And they're like, you are the one who helped me through. You are the one. I've heard things you can't even, they're like, I was almost not alive, and your show and that kind of stuff. Sure. That is the true payment.
I always tell radio people that many people are one song away from a suicide.
Exactly.
That one song that you played, a lot of people, is the difference. So don't take it lightly or for granted.
100%.
What service you're offering people.
Even your voice, too.
Absolutely.
They hear your voice, they hear your voice. It's calming. No, I'm not kidding, right? No, it's calming. Your brain is buzzing. You're going through some shit, and then you're making a joke, and they start chuckling, and all of a sudden that negativity is kind of going away, and then you play that song. Maybe a tear drops, but something clicks, and they're over it, and it was you.
Absolutely.
And, if we get those messages, it's beautiful, and I know it probably happens a lot more, but that's the main driver. I wish money didn't exist, honestly, because I want to do this for the rest of my life. I never want to compromise. I still don't compromise. That's why I still struggle to pay bills. People don't know. They're like, oh, Lars is huge. I'm like, yeah, I'm huge. But what goes into my bank account not nearly reflects that. Luckily, we're a multi-income household. If it was just me, I couldn't live where I live. It's one of those.
Does your wife still love you, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just checking.
20 years married this year. Yeah. Well done. All right, danke.
Now, South Africa has a ton of talent.
Absolutely.
There's kids producing the most incredible music with next to no studio equipment, like the basics.
Yep.
Now, when you were in Hamburg, you went to audio engineering school.
Yes.
Please tell us the importance of putting knowledge and education behind your talent.
I have to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this is directly music related, what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I actually, when I initially went to school, I really did it to consider it as a job.
Sure.
Audio engineering. So it's a school of audio engineering. It's actually worldwide. It was a 2.5-year program, and you touch upon everything, right? You learn about Neve mixers, SSL mixers. I learned about all the microphones, microphone placement for a kick drum. I mixed down live bands. So you learn all of that. Hard disk editing, early Pro Tools, like early Pro Tools. It took forever. I actually learned editing, and that goes by cutting tape.
Yes,
Like how splicing reel to reel. Literally splicing reel to reel.
that's because I started Radio 92.
So you did this.
So our radio jingles were on reel to reel.
There you go.
So I'd record a jingle, and then I'd have to splice it. I'd have tape on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I'd have to remember
What part is what?
whose voice is on this shoulder, whose voice is on that shoulder.
Yep.
Then splice it together.
That's it.
was
cut,
wild.
Cut and paste.
And you made it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you learn the basics by learning the craft.
Yeah.
That's the craft. Now you sit in front of a computer and you're like, that's what this is, right? And it's just a tool now that makes this easier. You don't need to remember this anymore.
Yeah.
So that's the level of music education. Before this, you need a solid education just so you go through life and you're not being used, exploited, going to school and finishing education. We all go through this. I don't need to learn this math. Why am I learning? That's not what this is about. It is about training your brain to be put in front of problems and then finding a solution based on your education.
But can we agree that labeling the thorax of an insect benefited none of us here?
Well, it opened your mind to nature and science, maybe. No, but that's what I'm saying. The majority you don't, but your brain learns how to study.
Absolutely.
Your brain learns how to retain information, and your brain learns how to adapt that information onto new situations.
And how to think critically.
That is the point. And now you need a job too.
Yeah.
Because especially nowadays, everybody's like, oh, music, oh, not like Black Coffee. He's huge. That's going to be me. I make one song. That person is going to play it. I'm going to DJ here. That's it. I made it. Maybe you're lucky and one song goes viral, but that may be it. And if you have nothing to fall back on, and there are so many musicians, I don't know how it is here, but in the U.S. especially house music, like Colonel Abrams, Rome Anthony, all of them ended up on the street. They signed bad deals, they didn't get the money they deserved or whatever. Colonel Abrams literally died in the street. And everybody knows who he is.
And I mean, we danced to Trap to 1985, 86.
Yeah.
Some of you were not born yet, but no story for another day.
When you hear it, you might know it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those things, you need something to fall back on.
Sure.
I studied law, didn't finish. That's when I went to audio engineering. I do like law, but there were certain things that were just too dry. And so I went to the U.S. for a year just to travel a little bit, went back, and then I did audio engineering. Because I was like, this is my lane.
So basically what you're saying is if you can get an education or get a further education, do it.
Absolutely. Even while you make music.
In fact, I argue always, especially to youngsters, that if you can, do something towards your chosen career or towards your talent every single day.
Oh, absolutely.
There's information on the internet.
Learn. I study every day.
Read an article, read a book, listen to a podcast, watch a podcast.
Yep.
Do something every single day towards your dream. Trust me, you'll see the results.
Information is power.
Otherwise, you're not growing.
That's right. And now information is available.
Yeah.
That's what people don't realize. Everything, literally everything is at your fingertip.
Yeah.
When we grew up, we needed to find out how a library works. You know what I mean? How do you find the books with the microfiche things? Like, how do I do this research?
Yeah.
You had to have a dictionary, right? Now you just like Google this shit.
I'd go to the library and read Billboard magazine.
Yes.
I'd read Weird Up magazine, and then I'd leave. They knew that this kid is not going to buy anything.
Right.
So they'd leave me. I just read these magazines because I wanted to know more.
Get information.
Absolutely.
That was me. I was in Germany. That was all before the internet, right? So something that happened a month ago, like Junior Vasquez kicked Danny Naglia out of the tunnel. That was a big story. Read that in Mixmag about a month or 2 months later after it happened. Then eventually met Danny and had to talk to him about that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, information is power. I learn every day. Because I have my fingers in so many different things, with merchandise. So, and 99% of what's Deeper Shades of House is all me, only me. I program the website. I do a lot of the merch designs. My wife does some of the designs. Now my son is 15. He's into design, so I get him in. He actually did these like camouflage style ones. So I'm getting the whole family in there.
Yeah.
But marketing, advertising, it's all me. So every day I learn more. I'm like, okay, this Facebook ad doesn't work. What do I need to do different? Now I'm sitting there 2 hours, I'm learning and learning. And again, this may be specific to that situation, but it's the same in other markets.
Sure.
Maybe it's a special click on Facebook, but once you figured out Facebook advertising, now Twitter advertising is just there, or TikTok advertising is just there. So, and again, this is power, and this is going to help.
How important are analytics?
For me, thank you. For me, it's the key.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
most of us here are on social media.
Yes.
Most of us here post about our gigs. We post reels about this is the event I did last week. But majority of us will never go to the analytics
And see how
to
many.
see how many boys, how many girls, from which town, from which city are actually loving what I do. Because often, if you know your analytics, you know how to target what you're doing. If you know that you have more people in Polokwane loving what you do, it's easier than to say to a promoter in Polokwane, I'd like to come and play at your place because I know I've got a footprint there. But most of us don't even do that. We're just happy that, 1,000 people liked my picture. But
Then
you don't even check 1,000 people from where.
Exactly, because it's going to be 999 people from an area that you're not visiting the next day.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So analytics, again, information is at your fingertip and it's publicly available. It's one of the reasons why I love Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Because if you put your music on Bandcamp, you immediately find out who downloaded the music, from where, what time, how much. You are now the owner of this information, which belongs to you because they bought it because of you.
Yeah.
Places like TrackSource, Beatport, iTunes, they don't care. It's the opposite. They keep it private. They don't want you to know. They're like the big corporations who exploit the content creators. I was talking about it earlier. TrackSource is exploiting people because they do this whole hype chart bullshit.
Yeah.
So basically, they decide by a click, I'm going to put this in my hype chart. Now the artist sees this, is like, oh my God. Doesn't mean anything.
I was on a hype chart 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So I must stop being excited.
You can be excited. My point is, it triggers something.
Yeah.
So as an artist, now you post it.
Sure.
My track is on the hype chart. If you're not that known, now somebody goes to TrackSource because of your song. Oh, great song, yeah. Add it to the card on the right. Louis Vega, Jimster, at Jazz, Frank Roger. Let me see what they have. Click, click, click. Your card is full. Before you check out, you go through the card. Need to keep that Louis track. Need to keep that Jimster track. The one they may have started with, they probably take out because they got to save that dollar. Now you may TrackSource the money, but you're not getting a cent. They didn't even buy your track. So there's something called customer acquisition cost. It's usually a company pays advertising, and then they can figure out, I spend $1,000, I have 100 new customers, cost me $10 to get a new customer. These $10 should belong to you because you sent them there.
You're the lead.
You are the lead who made somebody new sign up, who is a lifelong customer, is going to make them thousands of dollars. You're not seeing a cent. And you look at it and you sold 20 tracks and you get $10 at the end of the month, and then that's it. And I've had chats with them. They have the technical possibility, but these companies don't want to.
Yeah.
Because they use this information and they sell this information to big labels like Defected and Spinning. And they're like, look, this is what we have. With them, they share. Bandcamp keeps you in control. You find out, you create a mailing list.
Yeah.
Remember what we were saying, you create your own community.
Sure.
You create your community. You give your music away for free. My Bandcamp stuff is all free. You go to deepershades.bandcamp.com, you can download my music for free because I get your email.
Yeah.
Your email is worth more than the 40 cents I would get from the track. Because eventually, now you're in my system.
Yeah.
I'm coming to South Africa. Holy shit, I'm in Johannesburg. I just bought the track. I'm going to go check his gig. What, you sell shirts? I'm selling one shirt. Needed to sell 50 tracks for the same amount. But I'd rather give that track away for free.
Yep.
You have the information. You know where. You can target them. I'm coming here. Now you send the email only to that person in that area. You don't bother them with gigs in another area. That's the key. Analytics is king. It's amazing what you can do with it.
Does it make sense, guys?
So
Mine your own analytics.
yeah.
Because if you don't, they're going to do it for you.
But don't use it for popularity of your music.
Yeah.
Because you can be misled and you can put out a piece of music and it's only like 20 likes here or there. Don't think now you need to stop making that style of music. When you liked it and this is you, keep doing that. Don't care about the 10 people or 20 people. That's the only thing when I do not care about analytics, because you have the artist, the freedom of an artist. What you decide is the final product, Whether people like it or not, unless you want to have a pop hit and you care about charts and all that bullshit, do that. But as an artist, you're supposed to put something out that you can stand behind. There's like maybe 3 or 4 tracks I can think of in total that I try not to tell people about. You know? But even I did an official Beyonce remix way before everybody's excited that she's been doing house. So like years ago.
Yes.
Got a good amount of money for it, and I'm still proud of it. I did what I needed to.
Yeah.
There were other remixes at 128 BPM. She sounded like a chipmunk. I kept it at like 117. You know, and I cut it short. I made sure she sounded like it. So
In fact, that was actually my next question.
yeah.
The Black Coffee Foundation had a conference similar to this about 2-3 weeks ago, and Nati was talking about how Shimza had asked him for advice regarding collaborations and remixes, and the fact that a lot of EDM DJs now want to collaborate with him.
Sure.
And he doesn't know whom to work with and whom we shouldn't work with, who to remix, who not to remix. And Kerry Chandler famously turned down a Michael Jackson remix.
Okay.
I think this was 92, 93. The label said to Kerry Chandler, we would like for you to do a Michael Jackson remix. Kerry Chandler refused. He got a call from Michael Jackson himself.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yes, he got a call from Michael Jackson himself. And Kerry said, with due respect, because I personally don't feel the track,
Right.
I think it would be an injustice to even try work on the track.
He wasn't down to just do it for money.
So that was my next question. How do you decide that I'm going to get behind this and remix it or do a collaboration with this artist?
Well, I mean, it depends if rent is due. I mean, sometimes you got to do what you got to do because it's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this, you know. And then you get kids and the whole world changes anyway. So sometimes you do one or two of those things.
Yeah.
But usually you get hired because of what you do.
Sure.
Right? Like somebody wants somebody. Well, okay. It should be like that. Many times it's because of the name.
Sure.
And the label knows if I put this name behind it, it's just going to help us. Right? So that's the dark side of that. But ideally you should be hired for a remix because the label or the artist thinks that you can enhance or offer an alternative to the original that is just as good or better because of your craft.
Sure.
You know? So I know many people, they say yes to everything. And that's fine, I guess. It's just not me. Like, I sabotage myself a lot by saying no or by talking shit about something I don't like, you know, but that's just me. I rather go to sleep, knowing who I am and what I do, rather than like, it's kind of like a red light situation, what I just did. You know, I don't want to get myself into that. So I usually choose, I don't get offered a lot, you know, because there's not that much big money and some people just hold back. They don't even want to reach out, you know. And I have done remixes where I wasn't feeling the original. And because of that, I was like, yeah, this needs a remix.
Yeah. Let me fix it.
You know? Yeah, literally. And I did a couple of remixes where I just used one stab. Just a beep out of the whole track. And I made a whole other track. My name is on it. I got paid for it. Sounds good. People played it. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I created something. I created a new song.
Sure.
Officially a remix. So yeah. But yeah, I say no to a lot of things.
Sure.
That I shouldn't if I wanted to just make money.
Guys, if you have any questions for Lars, please get them ready. Please just get the mic ready. Got a question from Lulo Cafe. Lulo says, from an outside or foreign ear, what has been distinct about SA-produced house music and what has stood out for you? Also, in your personal view, how has it impacted the rest of the world of dance music?
Oh, I like that one. Yeah, shouts to Lulo. First time I came here was 2010, like I said, SAMC. And you guys have been doing demo listening sessions every year.
In fact, we have one at the end.
No, exactly. And the level of improvement of the production, just the quality, has been extreme. The ideas were always there. The feeling was already there. They just didn't know how to really translate it.
The production value.
The production values. You know, it's to the point, it's what you said. You really learn to work with what you have. And some people do it really, they have the passion. You know, there are many tears on the dance floor if it's like a really good set. It's because it touches people.
Yeah.
So they make the music, they actually want to express themselves. You know, and they learn to work with the small things they have. And then the computer crashes, the hard drive is done because it was a cracked version, there's a virus and all that shit. It doesn't matter, next song. And they just keep going and keep going. And every year it got better and better. And then, you know, different Kazis, they started to like create a sound, you know, the other producers, let's do that. And that is how you create something that's not just a copy of something else, you know? And obviously because of Black Coffee, but let me tap myself a little bit. I've been playing South African productions since I found out, basically. You know, what Christoph said earlier, Afro House wasn't always called Afro House, you know, and the Africanism, that kind of really got the ball rolling, you know, and it really took over, I want to say, especially in the US with the current Afro House wave, because it is more marketable than Soulful House ever was. Afro House has, besides just the music, also developed somewhat of a style.
Yes.
And that was my criticism since the early 90s about house music. It's beautiful that it's about the music, and it's beautiful that we're all behind it. But we needed people who are visually appealing as well. You needed somebody who can be identified with as a listener.
Sure.
House music has always been faceless,
Yeah.
outside of the world. Here, because of you guys' compilations and your radio personalities and your personalities like your pictures on CDs, that was different. That didn't happen in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
You know, there was maybe Barbara Tucker, or there was a diva, but then it's over.
Yeah.
Then it's just features. So it's just a DJ who's a nerd usually, right? And we just like, don't look at me, right? And then they end up on top of the pops, like acting like they're DJing or something.
Looking awkward.
You know. But now Afro House, that particular thing, now there's a fashion because of the festivals. You know, there's like a whole movement. So now the big companies are getting behind it. But even when it comes to South African house music, what I've realized over the last years, I've known from early times that everything is slower here. So I used to call it up-tempo R&B.
Yes.
That was kind of but that's kind of my feel, how I thought it was perceived here.
Yeah.
Because when house music was 126 in Germany, like the Knee Deeps, they were at 124 easily all the time. Shit got licensed here. And I was doing music on the same label, on Records of Interest back in the day with him and Ralph. And it was always a clause in the contract, by the way, we're going to slow this shit down.
Yeah.
By a lot.
Yeah.
You
In
know.
fact, we might play it at the wrong speed.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what it says in the contract, you know. Usually when you license something for a compilation, you already agree that it's being changed because you got to move it for mixing. But it was explicitly, it's going to be much slower. And I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense. They treat it like up-tempo R&B. It's more like a sway than a rave.
Yeah.
You know. So this has also like gotten hold of the world. The slower vibes.
Weird. Playing back to back with Black Coffee at High.
Yeah.
We played at 122 the whole night.
Which is super slow for Ibiza.
122
Yeah.
the whole night,
Yeah,
bro.
that's super slow for
And the
Ibiza.
kids are fucking losing their mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was in this play. What was it? Space before?
Okay.
It was Space before those. And I mean, we're there about 20 years ago. These kids were dancing at 128 BPM.
At least that was the trance area.
Yeah.
That was like Armin and that was Tiesto. That kind of. Yeah. No, but it's cool, you know. It's really, it connects. It's a frequent, look, 122, especially when you're dancing, that's your heartbeat.
Yes.
Usually it's like 120, you know, but 122 is you are in sync with the music.
Absolutely.
You know, and like on a Sunday afternoon, a nice 115 set, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah. have a drink, nice little Aperol spritz or whatever, you're just chilling with the music.
Absolutely.
And when you hear it from the beginning of the night, it's just as danceable.
Yeah.
People just we talked about this earlier. Sometimes people think louder is better.
Yeah.
Sometimes people think faster is better. Has nothing to do with either.
Mm.
It's the vibe that you are kind of bringing.
In fact, since you're raising it,
Yeah.
one of my biggest criticisms of venues and events in SA is almost this feeling that it must be very loud.
Yeah.
Because I'm from a school of, I want to hear the music, but I want to also be able to talk to you. And also my balls should not shake because of the bass.
It's true.
Sorry, ladies.
I'm with you.
But a lot of venues almost have this louder is better attitude, and I think it's wrong.
It's absolutely wrong. It has nothing to do with it. It doesn't push more energy. None of that. It has nothing. It's the opposite. It's uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
It's like somebody's constantly yelling in your ear.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense, especially when there's nobody moving, really.
Yeah.
Just turn it down a little because people can talk to each other.
Yeah.
You hear every frequency the way it's supposed
You
to.
can hear the kid playing the triangle
There
in
you
the song.
go. The louder you make it, the more everything turns into a mush.
Yeah.
It's just a...
Yeah.
You don't want that, And like I said, sometimes they do the same with faster.
Yeah.
And then obviously that also has to do with the excitement of other DJs.
Sure.
They're like, oh, I'm warming up for so-and-so at 10 o'clock. They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nobody there yet. 5 people coming in, it sounds like 5 a.m. after hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's what happens.
Yep.
But yeah, so the 115s are kind of picking up, not on the main floors,
Yeah.
but like on the Sunday afternoon, on the chill vibes, On the main floors, there's still a lot of like real connection to the disco things. So they get to their 126th, 127th, the later it gets. And when there's no phones present, it really helps.
Yeah.
Because people are now jumping.
Sure.
And the whole place is going crazy. It's hard to jump at 120. It's kind of like, it's more of a sway.
And with your phone in your hand.
But if you have 127, and then the whole place, and then the sweat starts dripping.
The energy changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from the old school where it was about decent sound, not even that big on the bass, more like lower mid-range, low ceilings. The only light in the room was the lights on the turntable on the mixer.
Yeah.
And then maybe in the other corner just to make sure people don't crash.
Yeah.
But that's the only lights. So you hear the music and you feel the vibrations on the dance floor.
Sure.
There were no phones. There was no worry about
No chairs, no table, no VIP, no nettles.
nothing. Nothing. There's like a little corner you can sit down if you're out of breath.
Yeah.
But it's not to rest.
Sure.
You go to dance.
Yeah.
You go to hear the music. Shit's dripping. It's sweat.
Yeah.
It's the humidity. It's a vibe. It's the way it makes you feel. I miss that. But then I experience it still.
Yeah.
I played last year in Ireland. Exactly that.
Yeah.
One light, just the turntables.
Yeah.
I played 5 hours from 3 to 8 in the morning
Yeah.
at 123. But I played from techno at 123, some tracks just like some kind of sounds to some Afro beats, just really taking people on a trip.
Sure.
And the whole place was just moving.
What are your thoughts on the madness of 1 hour DJ sets
I hate it.
and of having 24 artists and DJs
That's
on
worse.
one lineup?
Yeah, 1 hour is bad enough. 24-hour DJs is worse. I understand. I understand where it's coming from.
Sure.
As a promoter, you're like, okay, I have 20 DJs. If they each bring 5 people, now I have 100 people. If I have 5 DJs, they each bring 5 people, I only have 25 people. Completely wrong thinking, but that's a lot of the thinking. Now you limit the people to an hour set, which is still okay. It gets really complicated when it's less than that, and that sadly happens too. And also it has to do with the festival culture.
Yeah.
There's no attention for 2-hour sets, unless it's a DJ-centric situation. If you do like Spring Fiesta main stage, imagine a 2-hour set, people would fall asleep. They would be there for like the break, and they think, okay, when's the next one? And that was kind of touched upon earlier with the TikTok. This is the snippet I want to hear.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear all that other stuff. It's the attention. That's a festival. Now go to the club, and the club there's one DJ, maybe 2, and that's from 10 until they close at 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
You don't need 20 DJs. Also, it doesn't matter because it's dark. You don't know who the fuck's DJing. No, but that's what this is.
Yeah.
It is about the music. It's not about the fucking people.
Yeah.
It's about the music. If you have a good time for 8 hours and you're jumping and you're like going home, you're talking about it, do you care who played or do you care you had a good time?
Absolutely.
You know.
Sure.
So, and also another thing, 24 DJs, 1 hour sets, 24 different styles. Or worse, 24 people playing exactly the same than the one before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Longer is better.
Questions for Lars? Please put your hand up if you have a question, so we'll do about 3 questions, Lars. Is that fine?
I'm chill.
And then we'll call it.
Yeah, we're just selling merch downstairs after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're selling merch downstairs, guys.
Yes. We're also selling Memories t-shirts for the first time. You want to get them because Rocco only made a few. When they're gone, they're gone. Also with my shirts. When they're gone, they're gone.
I would like to greet everyone. It's actually not a question.
Would you mind speaking up just a little? No, it's your voice.
No, just speak up.
It's your voice. Just give it some oomph.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay. It's actually not a question. I'm seeking for an advice. So as a DCMA student, graduate, I don't know if I should call myself that at the moment, but I'd like to ask, I want to take music as my career and I want to learn more and grow into it. What can my next step be? Where can I go? What can I start doing?
Okay, here comes the hard truth.
Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
Okay, coach. Sit down some more.
Music as a career is what anybody has aspired, whoever got into production. The hard truth, and I know people who went from regular jobs to full-time music, tried it, lost a lot of money, and went back to full-time jobs, which, by the way, is why you need to be able to have something to fall back on. Make sure whatever you do, you have a regular job first that pays your bills, and you can spend your free time on your creativity, and then go from there. And don't necessarily go for the gigs that pay the most amount, but give you the most, either exposure, love, happiness, passion, or network possibilities. You don't need to worry about the money because you're going to work. Your bills are paid. If you say I'm making music as a full-time career and you don't have a job, you're playing gigs you don't want to play. Now you're going to be a person who plays all the gigs because you need to get paid. You will never be a DJ who's going to get on the backstage, in my opinion.
That's if you even get the gigs.
Right, that's true too. This is all like very positive thinking. Yeah. So in theory, you have a job, you learn the craft of DJing or you learn the craft of making music because that's what it is. It's really hands-on, even though it's a computer. These are all just tools. It's you make it. Have a release. Have another release. Have another release. Get an album deal. Maybe another album deal. Now you're talking, you're getting $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 advance or something. You're still working. Now you're like, okay, I have 4 more albums lined up. That's when you can go full-time career music. That's my opinion. Everything else, you're going to pick up things that you don't want to do, or you're going to start making music only because you think that music is going to sell. So that's my opinion. What is your next step? I don't know. Keep pushing. You know, you just need to network. Like, these events are good. Like Chris and Vinny said, it's not about talking to us. You know, talking to us, there's always this little bit of a like, okay, I'm talking to you, what can you do for me? I know that's not always where it's coming from, but it's looking for mentorship, it's looking for advice, and hopefully we're going to tell you something that's going to push you to the next level. It's got to be you. I don't think there is a formula. I don't think there is like only one way to go. It could be the 5 people sitting around you, right? You're like, let's do something together. I can't do that day, I'm going to work. But then you find the day, and then maybe you create a project together, or you create a community together, you create a party, you create a workshop. Maybe in your neighborhood, you're just going to get some people together. You know a producer, you have him talk to the other kids. You're creating something together. I don't think there is if I knew, I'd be richer than I am.
You know, when we first went for the Winter Music Conference in Miami in 2001,
yeah,
I was shocked to find out how many house music household names we knew had regular 9-to-5 jobs.
Oh, absolutely.
I was shocked. I mean, I remember landing in Miami, asking Keith Thompson, when are you arriving? He's like, I'm still at work, bro. Keith Thompson released Living on the Frontline.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that song...
Break for Love.
Break for Love.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes, Church Grooves. It literally made him a ton of money. He had a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll only arrive in Miami Friday after hours because I've got a 9-to-5. Frankie Feliciano, I think, was a cop in New York
Yeah.
at some stage.
ACAB.
We were playing his music to death. He's a cop in New York.
Yeah.
So don't look at people who are doing this full time and think, therefore, it must be easy. There are anomalies in every industry. There'll never be another Mac G in podcasting. So don't think because he did it, you're also going to do it. You're not going to do it. He's an anomaly. You look at Black Coffee and the heights he's flying at. No one else is going to do that in a very long time. So don't look at people who are flying high and think it must be easy because he lives down the road from me. Yes, it is possible, but is it practical? Is it feasible? Is it sustainable? That's what you need to look at. Your average artist will only make enough to almost get by if you are lucky. So please don't look down on people who are doing 9-to-5s and thinking, because you've got a 9-to-5. You've got to pay your bills.
Now, more power to them, actually.
Yeah,
More,
absolutely.
more power to have that much passion
Yeah.
to still do it after 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Because you come home, you're like, oh,
You're tired.
and then you have family,
Yeah.
and then you still are able to lock yourself up and make music, or you're still able to travel after 9-to-5 and do all these things. Like I said, 95 North, that's an example, right? They were really making big music, and they're like, okay, we make so much music right now, and we get paid by Arista, all those bigger remixes back in the day when Johnny P was still working there, or Nicky P and Johnny D. So they got really paid.
Yeah.
But they still had regular jobs.
Sure.
But then they're like, okay, we keep getting these remixes, and there's money coming in, we're going full-time.
Yeah.
2 years. Doug from 95 North went back to school, became an attorney, is now a full-time attorney. Richard is doing some other job. Many producers or singers are real estate or work at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Whatever works. If you need to stay flexible with your schedule, you got to get a more low-paying job.
Sure.
Because you got to be able to travel when you do. But you need to make ends meet, like you said. It's really, really tough. That's what I'm saying. I'm like in this somewhat full time. I'm saying somewhat because the merch thing is taking off. It's taking on a life on its own, and it's not like necessarily making music. Still creativity with designs and marketing and all that, but it's a whole other animal, right? So you gotta. If you only do one thing, it doesn't work. You need to then, because you worry about the monies, now you need to do something else. What else can I do to actually pay the bills? And that's why I'm saying I wish there was no money, right? Because if we all could just be creative and do everything we want to, it'd be beautiful. I think we're getting to the Star Trek universe soon, where it's like all UBI, universal basic income.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big-time socialist.
And you make grapes, I make music, give me grapes, I give you music.
Yeah, no, and that's how it should be. It's like, I love the music, come to dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then at least you know that the food is sorted.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I think another thing, because in this country and the proliferation of house music generally, a lot of guys have managed to make this a full-time career. But again, it's not easy. 90% of the guys I know that used to DJ full-time as a career, after COVID, have gone back to jobs. They've gone back to jobs. Some have moved back home because you're not making money anymore. You're not getting booked anymore. Or you're not getting as booked as you were before.
plus you get older.
And it doesn't help that nowadays DJs are now showing a lot of skin, showing breast, showing bum, dancing, doing all the shit most of us here don't want to do. So you're competing with a ton out there, guys. So it's not going to be easy. If you can get a job, take the job.
Because the more light in the club, the more visual the DJ.
Absolutely.
No, it's like in Hollywood, It's like the DJ is an accessory.
Yeah.
It's a hot lounge, so you need a hot DJ, male or female or NB, whatever. You need a hot DJ. It needs to be something to look at. Because a DJ is still like, people sitting at the bar and you're like, oh, look, the DJ. That's like the US way. I think really this country is an exception of how people can break through.
Yeah.
The way Shimza and Nati and Capo and how they're able to really push and also cross over into the international market.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen like this in the rest of the world at all. At all. The rest of the world, they made their own, like kind of music. Like Adam and Rump, they made their own. They literally created this whole thing. And that's, again, the whole festival bullshit. It's like these festival stages in Europe, it's like people are just standing there. It's like, it's like, go to club, dance, have fun with your friends.
Yeah.
It's like when everybody's like, what are they going to do, the DJs, bro?
Yeah.
Not those guys. Music. Put them behind. When Moody Man plays and he has the curtain come down, that's what it should be. Listen.
Sure.
And have fun and be there for the music,
Any more questions for Lars? Yes, sir. We need to wrap it up, guys. We need to get to our next session.
Afternoon, Lars.
What's up?
Mine is related to literally what just you were saying. I saw a video on Instagram. It was Will I Am. And I think they were also asking him about how generally the music is going to survive this new generation. And he said something profound, and I just want to ask you if you agree. He said something like, music has always been used to sell something. So music wasn't itself the product. It's always been used, for example, the hotels where, there's a specific type of music for you to relax in this place. Hollywood and Warner Bros. Having to license music. And so he was saying you'll have to find something to sell using music in order to survive in today's day. You spoke of kind of music. They sell in the festivals, and Adam Porto released a song that everybody can sing along to, but they literally just want to go there. I saw this couple saying they're going to a kind of music festival because of it's their honeymoon. So it doesn't really about the music. They probably don't even know 3 to 5 songs from kind of music. So would you agree that music can't survive on its own, and it would have to be a selling commodity for a vibe or a holiday, an entity, or something of that sort for it to at least transcend into this new digital world?
So generally, yes, maybe not the same reasoning, but it's just music became a commodity like water, right? You turn on the faucet, especially with the streaming services. That's literally what it is. You turn on your water faucet and you expect water to come out. And then you drink it and then you close the faucet and that's it. When streaming started, that's exactly it. You hit play on Spotify and Spotify decides what you want to hear and you hit stop. If you really like it, you look at it, but you don't really care. And unless it really hits you, and that's only if you care about the music. You guys are here because you care and you have an entire different connection already than 99% of the people out there. They worry about how are they going to work the next day, how are they paying their bills, and they're just enjoying the music. They don't care who plays, they don't care what plays. They just want to be in a place. On this particular thing, kind of music, there's a vibe. They see the videos, they see how the people are together, there's a look. They got this whole thing going on, and there's a look, and people love being part of something. That's why they go there. They may know 1 or 2 songs, especially because they're really crossing over into pop music now, But when the streaming started and I saw sales decline digitally, my first concept or the first thing that came to my mind, and this was like 2012 maybe, I said I need to start selling music without selling music. So it's exactly what you're saying. That's when I started doing merch. That's when I started doing memberships on my website. After people asked, it all made sense. These people want to help you. They don't want to pay for the music because they're like, now it's digital. It's like $1, not $1, right? For them, it's $1 for 1 track. For you, it may be $1 of hopefully 1,000. But if 1,000 people say, well, I'm not going to spend that, I can hear it for free, all of a sudden you don't make that 1,000.
Yeah.
So now you need to figure out, how am I going to do it? Festivals are a big thing. Merch is a big thing. If you're able to place your brand, I remember first time I came here and you guys were doing, what was that, the Vodafone thing? Where they released the phones and you and Euphonic, you had a compilation that you would get. That was exactly what made me think I need to sell music without selling the music. Because you guys got that and they put it with the phones, so nobody paid for it, but they got it because, so they did pay for it, but because of the phones they bought. That was kind of like something I remembered from being here and kind of brought together with the memberships and the shirts and stuff like that. Because number one, like I said, it's really hard to make people even listen to the music. Just to even hear it. Even now me sending out promos. I send out promos. You got to beg a DJ to open the email and hear my new song. And it's not anything bad from their side. It's just a matter of time. Like I said, every Tuesday, 8 hours, everything that has the word promo goes in one folder on my email. And I spend 8 hours on Tuesdays. And I listen to as much as possible. So now that's one thing, and I love it. I love music. This is my shit, right? If it's just a regular person who's listening in the car, what do you want them to do? Pull over, find out who it is, and then they buy the song? It's not going to happen, right? So you create a brand, and then the whole social media shit comes in, and then it's like, oh, I want to be part of that. And then they spend $100 to get to a festival and stuff like that. Yeah, you want to, basically the music is there to create a feeling that makes you buy something else. So that's 100% what you said.
You talk about how you spend 8 hours on a Tuesday going through music.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember coming up as a teenager buying records.
That was Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah. But you knew, for instance, if it was on Big Beat or Novus Records, that it must be a good record.
Right.
Or if it said Masters at Work Remix.
Right.
Or Louis Vega Dub.
Right, or it's Groove On. You knew it's like George Morel did something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it said Joey Negro Remix, Steve Silk
You almost buy blind.
Are there any artists right now whose stuff you say, I know it's good, I want to just take it?
I mean, yeah, but it's still
all labels.
It's still the old school ones.
Yeah.
Like a Joe Clasell, Theo Parrott, Booty Man. Those are like, also because they're more left from the main spectrum.
Sure.
And I love left.
Yeah.
I love left. I like, the hooks.
Sure.
So those are like, I buy. A lot of Theo's stuff is unplayable. It's like, there's one song, you're like really into it. The flip side is like, oh, you meant to punish people.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah.
It's like you got to fuck with people. We need the energy back. Nowadays, it turned to like, it's very flat.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to bother anybody. You need to bother people.
Yeah. Shake people.
Art is confronting and it's aggravating people in a positive and in a negative way. You got to make people think, So, yeah, it's definitely the old school ones. There are a bunch of South African labels that I definitely check out, like Candid Beings I like the Salvador guys that I pick up a lot. New label from Sweden, Catalea.
Yeah.
Picking up everything. They also had a South African release on their label. Kai's label, NDATL, Blindly. Well, I'm lucky. Usually he sends me this stuff, but even if not, I bought Abacus in Japan because I didn't have that. Anything Abacus picks out, I don't need to listen to. And he's been on a roll lately, so he's back. There still is a lot, but because it is a lot, you need time. Or you listen to Deeper Shades of House, and I work for you. I have playlists for every show, and I do that for the same reason.
Yeah.
Because it's not about me. I just play it. I want you to go to the playlist, find out who the artists are, find out who the labels are. Look at that. Become a fan of theirs.
Yes.
Because that's how you're helping them. I know so many producers. Domu, Broken Beat Genius, did the best music, and then he did an album and it leaked and it was everywhere, and he's like, I need to pay my bills. That was it. He stopped completely. And that is a talent that is really lost. And that is because people are like, I'm not going to buy this music. I can download it for free. And what people don't realize is you may be the reason why somebody you love is not doing what you once loved anymore.
Yeah.
Just give yourself that kick. Buy a track, buy two, buy a t-shirt, go to their party, but do something. Like their fucking posts. I mean, share it.
Yeah.
There are things you can do. Don't be like scrolling, you see it, it's like, I'm not gonna hit like. Like, what are you losing? You know, you're actually helping that person because that like is kicking the algorithm. Now, all of a sudden, that person's music might end up in front of somebody who is booking them for one of these great festivals. So,
Yeah, and people do that. People will scroll through your page, but they won't comment, they won't like.
even if it's friends.
Friend, it's like they're the worst.
Oh, they're the worst.
They're the first to say, do you have a ticket for next week's show?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, I like that track, but no.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Last question for Lars. There's last question for Lars.
Hey, Lars, amazing story. Just one question. In terms of regards to the radio show and online brand, like you're talking now, how did you find and balance being authentic in this context, you know, true alignment of what you think, say, do, enjoy, and what people want from you?
I've always been a little bit of an asshole. So I've always had this kind of like, when something becomes popular, I'm running away from it. So that's how I stayed in my own lane. 90s when I was DJing, I was heavily into like the disco filters, DJ Sneak, like the really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Became a very popular sound. Disco filters were millions all of a sudden, the same shit. So I moved away. Now I discovered Detroit. Now I discovered Moody Man, Theo Parrish. That luckily has never gotten to the level that I got bored of it. But Afro House, the same thing, right? Before it became what it is now, I played MZ, remember that? Or Bodie's early things, that kind. I played it all the time. It did something. And then it just got like filtered down to just, I can't even call it the essence, to something. I call it doesn't bother anybody while they're ironing. Like they're really putting it down to something that they think everybody can align with, and it doesn't bother anybody. You know, I was always, but again, you got to shake people.
Absolutely.
You got to keep it different. You can't just have a flat line. So,
Speaking of shaking,
yeah,
you know, you've always been outspoken,
Yeah.
very frank, honest on social media. You made a comment about Amapiano, and many people were not happy.
I got actual death threats.
I can
After Nazi did that post, I got actual death threats.
For those that missed it, what did you say on the post?
I said, and it was an attempt to be funny. That was the time when this whole thing with the same WhatsApp group was around. You know, it was like, yeah. So I said, Godfathers of House and Amapiano, same WhatsApp group. I said, what a snooze fest.
Yeah.
Snooze fest is an American word for it's so boring.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. To me, and it's my opinion. I'm like, I never said you guys should think this. So it's not, okay, so let me track back a little bit. Amapiano at that point had been around maybe for a year. There was the first compilation on House Africa, I think. They started with the real. So, and it was cool. It was more soulful still. And then Amapiano really became this log drum and I had kind of like paid attention to it a little bit, and people kept asking on social, what do you think about it? And I successfully ignored it for the longest time.
What happened on that day?
So on that day, I said, okay, friends, you've been asking me forever. Send me your favorite Amapiano songs. And I got a lot of replies, and I spent 4 hours, and I listened to it, and it sounded one like the next. So I had the same thing. That was the time when the Godfathers were doing 500 track releases or whatever.
They're still doing those.
Yeah. So, by the way, there are a few in there that are just copies of others. But it's all just... And I said it. And I said it jokingly. People get upset. I had to talk about this earlier. I have a lot of fans, and they each have a different opinion.
Yeah.
And when they tell me their opinion, they want me to say, oh yeah, that I think exactly like you. But I will never do that. If I would, again, I'd be rich.
Sure.
But I am true to myself. I tried to joke about it. People were upset. Guess who wasn't upset? Kabza wasn't upset. MFR Souls weren't upset. All the people who really made it weren't upset. It's always just somebody who gets upset on somebody else's behalf.
Yeah.
Could have dealt with it until Nati wrote, "Delete this tweet, bro." That's when the death threats came in.
Yeah.
Because that's when it reached the algorithm.
Oh, yes.
Then there was another guy, Prince KD, or
KD.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had to jump on that. Now it became part of a newspaper.
Yeah.
So there were things everywhere. Then Kid Funk had to say something, and they're all like, "Oh, let's just kick Lars a little bit."
Yeah.
And I got a little nervous there for a second because the death threats didn't feel good. Like, they were real. They were real. Don't ever think about coming back here. We're going to take care of you as soon as you land and shit like that. Yeah, so not good, you know. But to be fair, the thing I regret most in all of this is that I actually deleted that tweet.
Yeah.
I should have left it. I deleted it. I actually wrote an apology. His thing was like, it puts food on kids' table or on people's tables.
Yeah.
So does drug dealing. I mean, I should have never deleted that. I should have just apologized and leave it up. I deleted it. I said, I'm sorry. I never meant to upset anybody. I never said you need to stop making it.
Yeah.
I said, I don't like it. I still don't like it. I got to the point where I'm like, I love sushi.
Sure.
I love sushi. I love emi-ebi, which is sweet shrimp. It's still moving. Now, how many people can I ask, do you like sweet shrimp when it's still moving on the rice? A lot of people are like, ew, no. I'm like, I love it. Am I going to hate you because you don't like what I like? No, that's ignorant. But yeah, people try to convince me that I have such a big name that I'm going to make people stop making Amapiano. Yeah, look where you are now.
Lars, in closing, where is the road taking you next?
I won't stop.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I will make this show or something like it for the rest of my life. I still make some music here and there. I still do a lot label stuff, again, to push people who usually wouldn't be signed by other people. And I just put it out there. And it's just forward.
Sure.
I need to make some money, sadly. So I'm really pushing the merchandise and that kind of thing, you know. Because with the show, it's all free. People can download the show. People can share the show. It's not my music. I play other people's music, so I would never charge for
You
it.
can't make money
No,
from that.
no, yeah. People still try. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I never have. People have always sold mixtapes,
Sure.
mixed CDs. Not me, never. Gave them away, always. Never my music to sell,
Yeah.
unless it was my music.
Sure.
You know, I'm gonna push. I'm gonna like every piece of music that you guys like. At least I'll say so. No. I just play what I do. I stay true to myself, whether I play a gig or I play my show. I want to be happy with it. And there are times when I'm not. I played a song that I felt I should because of a situation, and that's the song I may think about at the end of the set. It's like, why did I do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Finally, 20 years of marriage.
Yes.
With your schedule and your globe-trotting.
Yeah.
Is there secrets to keeping the fires burning? Or is the secret in not always being together?
I mean, it's a little bit. We are both big heads.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of clashes going on. I need that because if people let me walk all over them, I get bored, and then it would have never lasted.
So you need a
same
challenge.
and the other way around as well. And obviously, true love.
Yeah.
And before the 20 years, we had a 5-year long distance relationship from Germany to Los Angeles. That's how our relationship actually developed. That had to do with the online radio station and all. That's like a whole other story. But I'll do a podcast eventually about my background. And so 5 years, a lot of phone talks, this was before Skype.
Yeah.
Luckily, I knew how to make some phone calls without paying for it because I come from a computer background a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how we got to know each other because you only have to talk to each other, so you learn a lot. Because, you know, usually what you do is like in the beginning, you hook up a lot. You're like, don't get out of bed. You go eat. Maybe you go see a movie. Then you start watching TV. Then you don't really communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had 5 years of just
talk.
Unleashing on each other.
Yeah.
You know, with the occasional visit here and there. Sure. I think that was a good base. But, you know, there are always struggles. Sadly, again, money is one of the biggest destroyers of relationships. You know, and you go through it, but if you go through things together, And we went through me not being able to go back to the U.S. because they took they put a code in my passport because I overstayed.
Yeah.
Like I said, a whole other situation. We went through things together.
So how long were you PI'd from the US with that code?
Well, we got a fiancé visa, so I actually went to get married. So I overstayed by 1 day during these 5 years. And then after 9/11, they really locked down.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you overstayed this one time, we're not letting you back in.
Jeez.
They put a code as an illegal alien into my passport. I couldn't get a regular visa. This was the trip when we actually wanted to go shopping for a ring.
Yeah.
So we were already on the way to get married. So that's when my wife then started visiting me in Germany, the internship. So we have a whole thing where we worked on something together to keep our relationship. And I think if you need to work on your relationship, you have something that's worth holding on to.
Like a crisis.
Yeah. Well, somebody in a family can die,
Sure.
right? If you do it together and you hold your hands, this will be something you will have with you for the rest of your life. And you will, sometimes when the hard times come, on either side, you're like, there's a reason why I'm with this person. And I've always been, first time I met her, had nothing to do with it was a business interview for an internet station. I don't know why I felt the need to tell her. I told her I'm never going to get married. And that was the one I married.
She's like, hold my beer.
No, it had nothing to do. This was not even that, but it's like we just developed something, and I found the one. And I told her, it's like, I'm only going to get married once. I'm not going to do this Hollywood shit. We're getting married, and in 2 years we're fighting, and we're going to get divorced or shit. No. I'm going to hold on to this, and we love each other. We travel a lot. I have a beautiful son, and he's doing well. So, knocking on wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, find one of those.
Great stuff. Lars, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man.
Candid, honest, open as always. We appreciate that about you.
And it's all coming from a good place, It's never, I'm never trying to take anybody down. I'm just being honest. If I don't like something, I just don't like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please make some noise for Lars.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching another episode of Wow, What a Week. Hanging out with Lars Behrenroth. Shout out to Christos and to Ralph Gum for this incredible Dance Music Summit. Please, let's make some noise for our hosts. And also shout out to the German embassy for being a part of this gathering. Our cinematography, videography is done by Trevor in that corner from Pesulurex. If any of you are getting married or you need a music video, Trevor is your guy. Please get his details. He'll make you look very good. If it doesn't look good, it's your fault, not his. I just need you to know that. And also shout out to Mia Cooper for hosting us at this incredible venue. We're part of the Africa Podcast Network. You can email waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Gilles Omotisa is our executive producer. Shout out to her. And until next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.